Thank you, thank you. We are going to be a little nervous, but we'll get into the swing of things around minute 19. No. So thank you, Stu. Thank you, Creative Mornings. Thank you, Climate Corp. Thank you, sponsors. And thank you, everyone, for coming out to hear us talk this morning about risk. And we are going to be doing something that is a risk, and it may work or it may be a total frickin' disaster. But we actually wanted to pose a bunch of questions to you the way that we think about risk, because for us, it's really based around questions. So do you see yourself as a risk taker? And you can see the room is divided, and no is on this side, and yes is on this side. And this is the interactive part that we want everyone to go to the side of the room that they think they are on. And it's going to happen throughout the talk. So yes over here, no over here. And as we do this, and there's no shame in not taking risks or taking risks, no shame in any of these answers. Once we get through this first one, Meg is going to play a little ditty. All right, so we got some yes and we got some no. All right. So we were asked to do this talk on risk, and we're like, risk, let's Google risk. And we found this lovely little guy, along with a whole bunch of bad stock photography on risk. And a whole bunch of platitudes, right? The biggest risk is not taking any risk, and failure is great, do it all the time, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A lot of sports analogies on risk. You must risk going too far to discover how far you can go. And not that those platitudes aren't really helpful and inspiring, but it's just really not the way that we work as Guts and Glory. And we're very personal. We are oversharers completely, all the way. And so we thought, why not actually just share with you a few of the questions we had to ask ourselves as we worked on a few different projects. So we start with, as I said, 3 projects where the risk was high, emotionally, physically, professionally, and financially. And making it very personal to us seemed like a really interesting way to share with you our take on risk and what risk actually means. Because spending $100 million on a new app when you have $1 billion investment, if not your own money, is not risk. It, for us, personally, is not risk. So, leaving the corporate world, how we got here today. And this is going to be the first question we're going to ask you guys. Would you sleep with your boss or employee, yes or no? No's on this side, no's on that side. Again, no shame, no shame. All right. So we did. I was Meg's boss, and we slept. I know. Hey, no shame, no shame. We met in New York at an innovation company, and we fell for each other and had an illicit affair, and then decided that we didn't want to remain in that situation. So our next question is, would you leave a secure, high-paying job to start your own company? Would you leave partner track at an innovation company, etc.? Would you leave that security? Yes or no? For love. And control. And yes, we did take a 90% salary cut. That is a reality of risk. I know it isn't, sorry, that's all right. Okay, so, we said yes to those 2 questions, and we have been in business for 4 years. We're getting married in 4 months, and we, thank you. And we still really do like each other, even though, I know, we know how to get it, you guys. Cats and dogs high-fiving. So that's sort of just our preface on some of the actually, big, scary questions we did ask ourselves that we said yes to. And now we're going to share with you a project that had a lot of emotional and physical risk involved, and that is a project we call They Don't Work For You. And this is the story of what to do when the NRA calls your personal cell phone. So, question, were you horrified by the mass shooting of 20 children and 6 teachers in Newtown, Connecticut, the fall of 2012? Yes or no? We're going to assume, everyone's going to go to no, but it's okay if you don't fit, it'll count as no. So we were, and we were horrified, like all of you, and then we said, well, would you do something about it, yes or no? Would you yourself do something to, in any way, stop or participate in a conversation to change that, yes or no? Everyone's on yes. Nice. All right. And then, would you launch a website to address your outrage? Yes or no? We did. Well, it's risk, right? It's risky putting yourself out there in situations that are, highly emotional and dealing with. Right. So we did, and we are going to share with you a quick clip from Melissa Harris Perry, who's going to share with you the project we did. She does a really great job. She's also awesome.
How did you feel when you first heard about the shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown? I know I felt helpless. What could I do in the face of such senseless evil and violence? We know what the teachers of Sandy Hook did. Many gave their lives trying to shield students with their own bodies. Nothing could be a greater contrast to the heroism of these selfless teachers than the choice of 45 U.S. senators who voted no on the Manchin-Toomey amendment that would have expanded background checks for gun purchases. Our foot soldiers this week are determined to make that distinction crystal clear. Our foot soldiers, Faun Chapin and Meg Paradise from the Brooklyn design firm Guts and Glory, they created an online campaign called They Don't Work For You. The campaign pairs photos of each of the 45 senators who voted no on gun reform with pictures of child victims of gun violence. The pictures that you're seeing behind me are from this campaign. Faun and Meg were frustrated with the Senate's inaction on gun reform, but they chose not to be helpless. They put their talents to work. As graphic designers, they understood the power of pictures to tell a story. And they told us we needed to distill down a very noisy conversation to its core truths. That these senators voted the way they did because they don't work for the American people. They work for the NRA, who works for the gun industry, whose sole purpose is to sell more guns. And although they had never done a political campaign before, they were so moved by the senseless loss of so many young lives that they decided to commit every waking hour to this effort. They started with photos from Newtown, but were determined to show that the tragedy of child gun victims is a routine occurrence in American towns and cities. They wanted us to feel the full weight of grief that each of these families feels. And they wanted us to know which elected members of the U.S. Senate had refused to take a stand on behalf of these young victims. I think you're going to agree that these images achieve exactly that effect. The website is also a direct call to action. Underneath each photo, they've provided links for you to click that will lead you to each senator's Facebook page or their Twitter account, or you can directly call their offices from your smartphone. Faun and Meg are seeing results. Thousands are tweeting and Facebooking and calling every single senator on that list. So for reminding us that we are not powerless and that we can stand up and that we can hold our senators accountable. Because they're supposed to work for us. Faun Chapin and Meg Paradise are our foot soldiers of the week. And to read an interview with the women of Guts and Glory, please go to our website at mhpshow.com.
So, next question, which we preface the whole thing. Members of the NRA call you asking why you want to take away their Second Amendment rights. Do you answer yes or no? No. That's all right. You don't have to move back and forth. But no, yes, we did not answer, although some of the members that worked on the project did and had some really interesting conversations with quite a few members. It's really scary when the NRA finds all of your personal cell phone numbers and gives them out to their entire organization to call you. Yeah, it was not expected, very risky. We were also in the middle of the woods at the time in upstate New York, so it felt particularly... I have to be closer, it's not working, right? Is it? All right, okay. So, a slightly lighter question. You're asked to talk on national TV, and a makeup artist approaches you to prep you for camera. Do you let them do your makeup, yes or no? Anyone? Well, we did, and we look like very, very orange, Melrose Place style there. Always say no. I know. Slightly lighter there. So, yeah, it was intense. Risks. So, in summary, in that project, having a point of view and acting on it is a risk, and I think we forget that having a point of view is risky. Picking a fight with the NRA, everyone knows that's pretty risky. And 46 members of Congress. We had a lot of lawyers calling us from those Congress members who didn't want to be paired with the child they were paired with, or even part of the conversation. Using images of murdered children to provoke action. We got a lot of shit. A lot of people were very, very, very upset with the use of children, but yet we really did think it was important for what we wanted to say. And then using graphic design as a provocation is risky. We tend to, laud those who make cute shit on the internet. That's awesome. Cats.
Which we also do.
We do. Cats and dogs high-fiving is really great, but also using the skills that we have, been taught to do something more than just that. And being involved is a risk. Being involved in this talk this morning is a risk. Like having all of that leads to rewards, though. And for us, the reward was inspiring others to take action, which also being involved in a very important conversation was really rewarding. And then remembering that design is a tool for change, which, we can forget as we're working on our client logos for the newest restaurant, or, working on art book design. And then being deeply, deeply humbled by the experience, and that we were able to interact with, 200,000 people at the end of it, who were all very involved, and we're thankful that there was part of a conversation to keep being continued, both in the media and individually. So that was chapter 1. Now to something a little bit more lighthearted, but also risk-related, how to flip internet haters into content. So this is our lesson in self-amusement, relentless obsession, and slow-mo. So the next question for everyone here, would you produce a product just because it seemed like a good idea? Yes or no? Yeah, let's move. Let's keep... Would you make a product? Not because you had funding, not because you knew how to make products, but just because you thought it was a good idea. Yes? No? All right. Next question. Would you spend $20,000 of your own money to produce this product? Yes or no? I know, yeah. You guys are probably smarter than we were. No. So we said yes to all of that, and we created Helvetica, the perfume of nothing. Helvetica, the perfume, the scent of nothing. So we thought it was really funny, and it was a dumb idea in our studio. We were just, effing around, and we're like, oh, what would Helvetica smell like? Oh, it smelled like nothing. Oh, wouldn't that be funny? Let's make a perfume. And...
But, comedy only really works if you really commit to the joke. So this was really just a lesson in committing as absolutely hard as one possibly could. So it's produced, it has 24 karat gold ink on it, and the box is letterpressed.
24 karat gold ink.
24 karat gold ink, letterpressed, and foil stamp, and all this crazy packaging and everything.
So very self-amused, and we created, a web... Oh, it's a website. It's air, water, and you. It is just distilled water. We sold it for $62 the first round, and it sold, and it went like global, and it's in museums. And then we did a second round, and it's only $28 now. So second edition. But it was something that a lot of people really hated, and a lot of people really liked. So you make this product, and lots of people love it, lots of people hate it. Would you create a campaign based on this dichotomy? Yes? No? All right. Move around a little bit. So we did, and Twitter's fun. And again, within like 4 or 5 days, there were 100,000 views on the website, and Twitter was tweeting and blah, blah, all that good stuff. And the hating on it was just as, well, it's more awesome than the loving. But we compiled all the tweets, we saved everything, and then we thought, well, wouldn't it be really ridiculous if we made a printed piece, because, production and why not, that felt like a Twitter stream of the lovers and haters.
And then mail a bunch of tweets.
Yes. So I'm just going to read a couple. I would buy this without shame. Hashtag Helvetica. Hashtag typography. Holy shit, this is why marketing is an art. I love the Emperor's Modernist perfume. Totally brilliant thinking. I'll use it to make my pet rock smell better. It's my favorite, I know. But the better, the haters. Someone clever is very proud of themselves. We were. Helvetica the perfume. For the filthy, ironic hipster in your life. Hashtag Obama's America. No joke. Yeah, seriously, Obama's America. GTFO, humanity eats itself. Helvetica the perfume, for those who want to smell like fixies and entitlement. And last but not least, smelling like Helvetica means smelling like yourself, and that's disgusting. I know. So we made this printed piece, and then we were compelled to make videos out of this same concept, the lovers and the haters. And we flew to New York, and we spent 4 frantic days working with a lot of our friends there, calling in every favor to make these 2 videos. So the goal with these videos was to do everything in camera. We wanted it to make it look like it was almost this kind of CG world, but everything was done in camera. Warned you, we were self-amused. And then one last video around it, just because we assume most of you are makers in some way. We did fly to New York. We rented a Red camera, which is this amazing slow motion camera, and we're just going to show you how we made those really quick. so that is showing you that everything was done in camera. We had a lot of fun doing that. And so we were pretty proud. We're like, yeah, we're self-amused, we're proud, we made these videos. Let's send an email blast out to our peers sharing this new campaign. So is that something you guys would do? Yes? No? All right, great. So we did that, and the first email response we got, literally 5 minutes later, was suck my dick, then unsubscribe me in that order, from a very, very famous designer that you all know that we really respected. And we're like, wow, all right. Okay, so that was a risk we weren't actually, prepared for, but all right, okay. And then Monotype threatens to sue you for claiming rights to your new product. Do you have your lawyer politely remind them they own a typeface, not your product? Yes or no? Yes, all right, we did, but it's always scary when you get letters from lawyers, and this was our second project that we had done where lawyers were involved. This was also just within the first year of being in business.
If you want to know about trademark law and creativity, we can tell you all about that.
Yeah, it's tricky. Of course, we paid for the font. Everyone should buy their fonts. So risks, possible financial ruin. The videos in New York cost us about $10,000, again, out of our own pocket. Lawsuits from mega company, producing something that's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous, we knew that. Public flogging from your peers. Even worse, no one cares, right? That's like, if you're making something physical and you're putting out in the world and no one cares, that's like the worst possible thing. But the rewards, being your own client, which was really great, being deeply amused. As we said, we're very self-amused. And then we made a design object that is actually in 4 museums, numerous high-profile concept stores, and covered internationally. And amazing, like we are really big in Europe and Asia, like no joke. We're still in blogs, and this is like 3 years old. Which is cool. Thank you, Europe and Asia.
We were also in Time magazine, which my mother informed me is still a thing, which I did not know.
It is. All right, so chapter 3, and this is the last project we'll share with you this morning. You too can be a contender, and actually at least one of our partners is here. Oh, he's back over. Oh, both of them are here. Everyone hates politics. Hey, let's make a game about that. So last summer, question, you want to make another product. After your last investment, do you find outside investors? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes.
It should be noted we are not independently wealthy.
No, we are not. No. So John and Justin, these lovely fellows, came to us with the base of a really fun game last summer, and we spent the summer together working on it. And this time we did a Kickstarter video. And yes, we had to be in the video too. And what was really great about the Kickstarter was that in, I believe it was 9 hours, we were 100% funded. We ended up raising $140,000, which seems like a lot, but it isn't. Or maybe it does to you, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. So then the next question, so we have this funding, we had a lot of excitement around this product, which is a game, which we'll get into in a moment. But the next question to ask yourself is, do you produce this product in the US or do you produce it in China, right? Because everything's produced in China. It's gonna cost you 3 times the cost of producing in China. Do you do it? Yes or no?
3 times the cost of producing in the United States.
Sorry, yes. So yes or no? Yes, produce in the US. No, go to China and make 3 times the money. So everyone who said no, they are going to have higher bank accounts than we do. So we did produce in the U.S., and which was really important to us to be able to say printed in the United States. It is a game about America, etc.
Also the principle of the thing. It just didn't seem right.
Right.
But it is, and this is a whole other conversation, it's kind of an insane thing to ask business people to do, right? Pay 3 times the cost of something to do it here. It's almost like a no-brainer, and we were like, no, we have to do this, so. You suck it up.
So the Contender is a card game that uses presidential quotes to create a debate-like structure as you go around. And so we actually spent 3 months researching every single presidential debate back to the very beginning, letters from Lincoln, et cetera, to every Sarah Palin video, and just cataloged the hell out of it and then reinterpreted them. And we had a lot of fun doing it. Here is a silly video. Yeah. Justin, are you taking a bow? We had a lot of fun working on this game, designing it, and also working with 2 amazing partners. There is a risk when you partner with someone, be it a new client or a friend, and oftentimes it does not go the way that we would hope it does. And so with Justin and John, we really found some amazing collaborators. Here is an example of a hand, and what's really fun is that you can use like Michelle Bachmann, Bill Clinton, and Ronald Reagan all in a hand and win. Here, we did a lot of design work around the branding of it and creating these additional buttons because nothing says politics like a button. We started this project last summer, and this was when everyone was running. I know it still feels like that, but literally like God was running. And so we made all of these bipartisan, politically incorrect buttons, like, Bill Clinton for First Lady, Scratch the Burn, Pantsuit for Free Arena, Lick Bush, paid for by Friends of Hillary, etc. Bush fracks better, Don't be an American. We had a lot of fun and really like just poking fun at the whole political system. And then we made a politically incorrect deck. Oh, sorry, Stuart, there's some more swear words. And here we actually literally just lifted quotes from political, for the most part. Like that is actually a Joe Biden quote. This is a big fucking deal. And so this adds a little spice into the game.
He's a maverick. He's a maverick.
He is a maverick. And more versions of the buttons. But then there was a curveball, the Donald effect, right? Like Donald wasn't even, I guess he was just beginning to run, but everyone's like, there's no way in hell. This was back in September. And now we know differently. And so we had thought going into this, there are a lot of new political card games, happening right now. And that's awesome and stuff. But we started like last spring, April, May. And we thought, this is going to be really smart. There'll be a lot of reasons why blogs and other people will want to be talking about a card game because, politics get so boring. Not when Donald's around. And so we're like, so the interest we thought was going to be there isn't really there because politics isn't boring right now. It's freaking crazy. Terrifying. So we recently, and this is a world premiere of footage. No one else has seen this really. So you're all the first. This is just a little sampling of our newest effort with the Contender.
If you knew what I knew, you'd know I'm right. Not so fast. I stand for corruption.
America!
That's dumb. Look at Smarty Pants over here.
Yeah, so we are in the middle of creating our own debates, sock puppet wise, and those are actually all cards that they're playing from the game. So you can see that there really is, it is a fun game. A lot of people think politics and debate, oh God, how could that be any fun? But it is. So risks we took, again, financial ruin. Working with new partners, as I said, that's a risk. Boring subject matter, risky. Kickstarter, you spend potentially months of work and there's no guarantee of funding. And then spending 3 times as much to produce in the US. Producing a product we're really proud of, making a game that's really fun to play, 2 amazing new collaborators for future shenanigans, and then political sock puppets, which I was pretty keen on making since about last summer. So I'm really excited about these sock puppets that we finally found a reason to do them. So our relationship really to risk is that we just say yes way more than we say no. It's really that simple. It's decision making, intelligent or otherwise, that opens possibilities. And we aren't advocating to say yes all the time. There's lots of talks where everyone says, say yes no matter what. That isn't what we're, advocating. It gets exhausting, it's dangerous, and sometimes it's just stupid. So saying no is really important too. We say no all the time as well. We also do a bunch of other stuff. I think we still have time. So these are things when we aren't working for ourselves, and all 3 of those projects were for ourselves. We do have a business run with client work. So that is our talk on risk, and hopefully the standing wasn't too terrible and going back and forth was a little bit fun. There's some challenges to that, but if you have any questions, we may or may not have answers. All right.